The cheapest countries are attracting Americans with too much money. Uh-oh. Hello and welcome to our Retire Early lifestyle. Thanks for being here today. We're going to jump right into the information now. It's true. Wealthy people are moving to the cheapest countries in the world. We noticed that when we were living in Cuenca, Ecuador. It was considered one of the cheapest countries in Latin America. Not anymore, though. Get this. In 2010, Yahoo News was reporting about a couple living on $600 in Cuenca, Ecuador, overlooking the river Tomabamba even. Can you believe it? Today, just the apartment will cost you at least $600 a month, but people compare to back home in California or North Carolina and still think it's cheap. The cost of living in Cuenca, Ecuador has more than tripled in price since we were there. We've always wondered why ultra-rich people move to underdeveloped countries where they will probably end up leaving anyway. They can afford to move anywhere their heart desires, and yet they pick on some of the cheapest countries in the world. Is it greed to want to live in luxury? Well, in a way, it could be reasoned that it is, because we are all subject to the emotion of greed, but the well-off appear to fall for it even more. They would be the ones to say to themselves, wow, if you can get that for $600, what could I get for $1,000 a month? And on it goes with the next one with more money upping the ante. The one with the biggest pot wins, right? Except what do you think you're getting? We met and helped an American millionaire that moved to Cuenca, Ecuador. He and his wife were both very nice people, but they had these grand plans to lease all of the apartments on the last 2 floors in one condo complex, so his next-door neighbors would be his family members. When your rent is $15,000, can't you live anywhere in the world? Why Ecuador? This guy threw money around like it was nothing. Some wealthy people are simply bored and have nothing else to do but spend their money on things that make them feel better. But do you really want to be the wealthy guy in a country where they only make $600 a month? Another expat we helped, not sure if he was a millionaire or not, but he appeared well off. We found a very nice 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment for him and his wife for $400. But he didn't like the toilet in the bathroom, the wall colors, or the kitchen countertops. What do you think he did? He liked the location and the yard so much that he redid the bathroom with new fixtures and had brand new marble countertops put in the kitchen, replacing the tile counters, and he repainted the whole house using his own money. By the way, he ended up leaving a year later. What impression do you think that makes on the locals? Wow, these people remodeled our house and then they left? Nice. The house could rent for $800 to $1,200 today. This is what we mean when we say Americans are moving to these cheaper countries with too much money. If it sounds like the end result of this exercise is just higher and higher prices, bingo, you win the prize. But a little known reality about how the promoters spin the fact that when you move to these undeveloped nations in Latin America and Asia, you're not just buying the beachfront condo and the views. You have to come outside of your condo and see and live in the real world of an undeveloped nation, and you may not like some of the things you see, contrary to their spin cycle. Now, what I'm about to tell you is the real culture shock. It's not the moving back to America after you've been gone for 10 years. In many of the bigger cities in most developing countries, not all, there will be garbage littering the streets, sewage smells, noisy, polluting traffic, and usually diesel fumes from the buses. You'll see families eat cheap food from the street carts and their children sitting and eating on the curb with bare feet and torn, dirty clothing. You may see men peeing right on the street, and even indigenous women peeing just a little ways off the sidewalk with her skirt hiding herself as she squats. To them, as you walk by, you look different. you look like $1,000,000. Many times there will be torn up roads and sidewalks. We say, walk at your own risk, and we mean that literally. Suing the government because you fell down a manhole or you got ran over when crossing a busy road is not an option worth entangling oneself with. These things come with the territory when you move to a developing country. There may be loose, barking, raggedy-looking dogs roaming the streets, and this might be a block or two away from your penthouse with the $1,000,000 views. We had one American couple renting a luxurious penthouse condo in Cuenca, Ecuador, in the Gringolandia neighborhood. We didn't coin it the Gringolandia, though. It was coined by the Ecuadorians themselves. And anyway, the wife said they could hear the dogs barking in the middle of the night all the way on the top floor of their condo building. It only had 10 floors, but still, that would be annoying. We used to wonder how wealthy people moved to these poorer countries and lived it up like they don't notice the poverty around them. Why do these poor countries build luxury condos in the poorer sections of the city? And why do wealthy foreigners live among poverty when they move abroad, but they don't live in those types of neighborhoods in their own country? Now, we're not blaming gentrification just on the rich folks, but they are a big part of the rental price hikes. Why do you think Portuguese protested, "Californians go home"? They didn't say Americans go home. They made it a point to protest against the Californians. It just takes a few wealthy folks to come into town and demand ocean views, first-floor bedroom suites, American-style kitchens, and their indoor doggy, and the precedent is set for those types of apartments to double in price overnight to the rich foreigner. Now, Californians may not think they're rich, but if they're paying $4,000 a month for the same apartment they can get in Portugal for $1,200 a month, which used to rent for $500 to the locals, then you're rich, okay? Funny thing is, you don't need to actually be a rich person to be considered wealthy in places like Ecuador or Portugal, and it's because of the differences in earnings and the country you come from. Did you know that some of the most popular expat countries in the world are the cheapest for retirees and the digital nomad groups such as Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines? These countries are now exploding in tourist and expat traffic. What do you think's going to happen? Sooner or later, they too will become overly expensive, just like Costa Rica and Panama have. Here's another little-known fact. Costa Rica is still a developing country, but the prices show otherwise. Do you see what we mean here? So why do wealthy people move to cheap developing countries? They want to get as much bang for their buck as they possibly can. If the Californians have to pay $4,000 a month, you bet their booties they're going to do it cheap in Europe. And well, the word got out that Spain, Portugal, Greece, and Italy are cheap to wealthy Americans. We've always said, though, probably 80% of the world is cheaper than California. For your information, even the rich want more and more luxury for less if they can get it. Why do you think rich people are rich? Because many of them are frugal as heck. I think Americans, wealthy or not, but especially the wealthy, would fit in much better if they moved to countries like England, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Your wealth is more on par with your peers in these countries. Why do these poor countries build luxury condos in the poor sections of the city? The lesser developed countries do this frequently, and their reason is because the land is cheaper to buy. The locals were there first, probably living in shacks, and the expats start pouring into these countries, and well, we've all seen what they do. They start building condos with ocean views, And their thinking is, well, if you build high enough and if you put a big tall wall around the compound, it won't matter much. But it does matter, because the poor folks see you coming in and out of that beautiful luxury complex every day. I wouldn't want to be in that position. That would be intimidating. And another thing you might want to keep in mind is it will hurt the price if you ever go to sell. Why do wealthy foreigners live among poverty when they move abroad, but they don't live in those types of neighborhoods in their own country? This defies all logic, because common sense should dictate that there will be repercussions for our behavior at some point, sooner or later. It's the same way with hiring in-home workers. We notice that in foreign countries, expats will hire handymen and cleaning people into their homes that they have never checked out for character or anything. They just let any Tom, Dick, or Sally into their home. This is a very strange phenomenon. Many expats have been robbed blind, and some much worse, by hiring workers and cleaning people into their homes while living in a foreign country. And sometimes it just turns ugly, very ugly. So we have to take everything into account, and is exactly why we provide you with the information you actually need so you can be a smarter expat and make more informed decisions when it comes to these life commitments like moving abroad. Well, that's all the information we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed that. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.